Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Belief Cast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Belief Cast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. You guys are amazing. I appreciate your support so much. The belief you have in me and my guest is remarkable, honestly, and the feedback I get from every episode has been so wonderful. I got to give a shout out to my sponsors, Wasatch Recovery, Craig Swap and Associates, Thread Wallets, Gab Wireless, Maury Nutrition. And the music you heard at the beginning and at the end of this podcast was by my good friend Paul Cardall. He's an award-winning pianist. He's also got an amazing story, and he's a great friend of mine. So, Paul, thank you for letting us use your beautiful music. And today we are joined with Gretchen Jensen. Gretchen, thanks for being here.
Hi, Todd. I love Paul. I've interviewed him for years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me, though, that you know him, right?
Yeah, he's a lovely man.
Isn't he amazing?
So exciting. I actually was reading on your stuff. I was like, music by Paul? Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. So an interesting side note, when I was going through my recovery of overcoming addiction, I do this thing called my hour of power every morning. It's kind of my morning meds, if you will. Yeah. And part of that is listening to Paul.
Yeah.
And I did that for 25 years.
Good
and
for you.
my dream one day was to share the stage with him. And a year ago, we did a speaking event together, and I got to share the stage with Paul.
Look what you did.
So,
you manifested
yeah, it was.
that.
Yeah. It took a long time, but we eventually got there.
That's so good.
Yeah, so,
he's a great guy.
Well, we're in for a treat, guys. Gretchen's an amazing person. I was fortunate enough to co-host with her on Good Things Utah a few weeks ago, and it was quite intimidating for me, but to watch Gretchen in her wheelhouse, I really you made me feel comfortable. You made it so easy for me.
Oh, you were just such a pro.
Well, thank you.
Like literally, it was just, and the whole premise really of Good Things, if any of you guys are fans or watch Good Things, is to make you feel like we're in your kitchen, just having conversation. And that's exactly what you did.
Oh, thank you.
So it was a really nice perspective to have a male there.
Yeah.
And I think you interacted so well with our male guest. It was just, it was such a privilege. That's the beautiful thing about that show is they bring in so many primarily local people, but just really quality, exceptional beings that it's such a treat to get to know.
Yeah, Utah's a great place with a lot of great people, for sure. So a little background on Gretchen. She's done some amazing things in her life. She's been through a lot in her life as well, a lot of challenges. Miss USA 89, which is amazing.
1801.
Yeah. Second runner-up at Miss Universe. She's been a TV host, including ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. She's a model, speaker, endorser. She's a cancer survivor. That is amazing. So grateful to be able to say that, right?
Yeah.
You know, she's a mother she's got amazing kids, an amazing family. Everyone who knows you loves you, and you really are just a great light for people. Safe space, if you will. And I know you coach people, you help people. You got your own podcast. You got a couple podcasts, actually. You got two of them. So again, you're doing a lot.
I think it's interesting. I'm 59, and I think it's interesting. And I always tell my kids this, like, don't ever be set on one thing that you think you're going to do the rest of your life, because you just need to be open to where can you serve? What can you do to be not only self-satisfying in all the best ways, but to be of service.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't, after Miss USA, I knew that I wanted to use that title somehow to help people.
Yeah.
And that led me down certain roads, but it really wasn't until cancer that things started to open up in my mind of really what lights my fire.
Wow. Again, you are doing so much, and you weren't just talking about that back then. You actually have, put your money where your mouth is, and you have actually gone out there and done some great work.
It's, I always say on my podcast and my YouTube channel, I'm like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a life coach. I don't have any of those degrees. I'm just a woman who talked her way out of cancer.
Wow.
And that's what I want to share.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to have cancer. It's anything in life.
Could
But
be anything,
that was
yeah.
really, that was the pole vault for me
that's
is,
powerful.
okay, you know, this is what we're doing. And I think it's such a testament that our minds can drive us to do anything.
I love that. You're speaking my wheelhouse here, so we're going to have a fun
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Why don't we tell our listeners like a little bit about your childhood and where you grew up?
Okay, so I'm from Texas. It comes out every now and then.
I notice that sometimes.
I know. Actually, when I first started with ESPN, I had to go to a speech coach
Really?
to tone down. Yeah. And my kids always like, when mom's angry, it really comes out. But I grew up in Arlington, Texas. Great mom and dad, one brother, and was super active. I was actually really, really shy, Todd, as a kid. My mom put me in dance because I was so behind her skirt. She was like, "Girl,
Really?
get out there." So she stuck me on a stage, and it's interesting in Texas, football is like a religion in itself.
For sure.
It's I remember in high school we had classes that taught about the sport of football and what, you know, the two offense and defense, what the players are, what the positions, what they're doing. And I cheered from 4th grade up until college. And that actually got me out of my shyness because I was really, really a shy kid. And
yeah, that's hard to picture that now.
I know,
right?
I know. But you know what? There's actually nothing that I'm afraid of now.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't know that I'd want to jump out of an airplane, but I'm just saying, like, I could walk
Sure.
in front of
Yeah.
cajillions of people and it doesn't faze me.
Doesn't even faze you. Yeah.
Which, you know, I really appreciate about you on Good Things because I thought you really understood the concept of it's just conversation.
Yeah.
And just like your listeners, we're just inviting people into the living room. You know,
Yep.
it's that kind of a thing. I had a mom and a dad very supportive. That, you know, dad was in the booster club and mom, they just were always a part of my brother and I's lives. And then, so when I decided to do Miss Texas, it was like, what? Where'd that come from? I never watched a pageant. It was like, I just happened to be a tall girl.
Yeah.
And every dance teacher said, "Oh, well, that's what you should do a pageant because you're tall." And I was like, I've always heard I should play basketball and volleyball.
Yeah, right.
But okay. And so I went to all these specialists, like literally in Texas, you can make a career out of training somebody to get ready for a pageant. So I went to all these lists of all these people and they all told me exactly what to say and what to do and how to look and how to act and walk and all this kind of stuff. And I was second runner-up that year, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing! You're a second runner-up." And I said, "No, it's not. I didn't win." "Well, you just started, you know, and it's really common for people to do this for like 10 years." I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." But I went back home after it was over with, and I was just so upset with myself because I became this robot of everything somebody else said, somebody else's vision of what would be successful.
Right.
That I didn't deserve to win. It wasn't anything about me. So
Interesting.
when I decided the next year to go back, I said, I'm going to glean from the best things that I've learned from these people, but I'm just going to go and be me. And if that's not what they're looking for, then I can live with that.
Right.
But I can't live with the fact that I tried to do something that wasn't me and didn't give it my 100% because that wasn't who I was.
Yeah.
Went back and won. And Texas at the time had won 4 consecutive Miss USA titles. So there was a ton of pressure on.
I can't even imagine.
Who's the new Miss Texas?
Right.
And what does she look like? And is she going to win?
And is she going to do
Is she going to
this?
break the streak? You know?
my
And
gosh.
so there was a ton of press that year. It was 60 Minutes. It was Lifestyle and Live Rich and Famous. It was 48 Hours. It was all these news stories doing reports on my 2 directors. I just happened to be Miss Texas at the time, but they were all following my whole journey. And I'm just like, I not only have the freaking huge state of Texas, but now I have all this media stuff. And that was before social media. So it was kind of just up to AP to kind of get the story out there. And came time to go to Miss USA. And actually, let me back up. Before that, I did Star Search. I don't know if you remember that show.
Oh, I do,
with
yeah.
Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
So my directors had myself and Miss California and a couple other gals they were working with. We were on that show just to get us ready for Miss USA. because
Okay.
there's a onstage interview and you have to do
it's
an
a good
essence
training
of
ground.
modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of like get the jitters of being on live TV over with,
Yeah.
and then you'll be ready. Well, I kept winning, and the way they film that is like several episodes in a day,
Okay.
even though it's posted weeks down the road. And then if you win, then you stay and you film more. You win, you stay, you film
You
more.
just
So
stay.
I'm in a hotel overnight, and literally it just kept going on until I was in the semifinals. And I'm thinking, I'm
Wow.
just this gal from Texas. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? You know, here's Egg McMahon that I was probably just as tall as, because he was a big man. I was probably just that tall, just as tall as him. But it was such a fun experience that
Yeah.
when I went to Miss USA, I literally was like, I've been asked everything. I had so many interviews that year that I
Yeah.
felt like, I'm not afraid of the interview. Go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm
I
sure
can-
I've been asked
yeah,
that
bring it.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think, so the difference between Miss America and Miss USA, Miss America performs the talent. Miss USA is more interview. We go to Miss Universe. Miss America doesn't. So in case y'all are just
Okay.
wondering, like, what is
Yeah.
that?
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Because most of the time we're like, we're so happy that you were Miss America. And it's kind of like the NFL and the AFL. You're like, well, it's actually two different things.
yeah.
And, kind of a thing. But so went to do Miss USA. The Wall Street Journal quoted 1,000,000 to 1 odds that Texas would win. And
Dang.
yeah, and so my director said, we just want you, it was a month-long thing that we were there. We just want you for the first 3 weeks, just ponytail hair, no makeup, low-key dressing. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's a huge fashion show. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah.
So the press was like, no way is Texas going to win. Have you seen her? Look at her. There's no way, you know. And I'm like, okay, I'm just 22 years old. Okay, I can handle all this. And then their philosophy was the last week of the pageant is the only one that matters. Plug in the curlers, get on your fancy clothes, and kind of do this head game with contestants. Be like, oh, wow, where'd Miss Texas come from? We kind of wrote her off, kind of a thing. But by that time, Todd, I'd made so many good friends with the contestants. That wasn't my strategy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to play a head game. I just wanted to be me. And when it came time, and it was Miss Oklahoma and myself, and she was studying to be an attorney for the hearing impaired. She was so educated and so polished, and I'm this gal that sold real estate and cows in Texas, you know. But I just thought, I just got to be me, and if this works out, great. But I remember I said, dear God, if you can use me more as Miss USA than just Gretchen, I want to serve you my life with this title. And that's how that's the story of how my career has moved forward, just from that moment, that expression.
That is amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That is, you know, I can't even imagine the pressure, and you know, and even people saying 1,000,000 to 1 odds, and you've got all this press and the nation basically watching this and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you're 22.
I was 22, and at the time,
That's
for several
amazing.
years, I had the highest scores in every category in that pageant. It's not now, but at the time, for several years, and you don't know it because you don't see any scores.
Sure, right.
But I just remember, Todd, I remember going like, I'm going to enjoy every phase of this. I'm going to enjoy one phase at a time, which has been a really good life lesson for me. Like, okay, the first thing we're doing is interview. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this interview, you know?
Yeah.
Who did that? That was so much fun. And anything that you're doing and you enjoy and it goes by fast, you know,
Exactly.
you're enjoying it,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
To the point that I remember seeing, like looking out in the audience thinking, I have never felt so much love in one space because everybody there was rooting for somebody.
Yeah.
And even when their girl didn't get there, they found somebody else to root for.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and my whole family had the worst seats in the whole auditorium. They were way in the back, but I could still see them. And I just remember, like, it was in Mobile, Alabama, and I remember thinking, like, I have family that took off work, got out of school, and you know, how blessed am I to be here? I could see the Texas flags they were waving, and little stuffed cows, and you know, stuff like that. But it was such a great lesson of just what it means to support and be behind somebody. You know, it really did. And I realized too that if I won, that night would be the only night that was for me. The rest of my year would be giving back.
Giving back.
It has to be.
Yeah.
You can't have a title like that. It's like an Olympic athlete. Once they win their gold, that's their moment.
That's their moment.
But the rest of their life with that title is about giving back and sharing.
Wow.
And so it's just been interesting how the road I've been on, I didn't think it was going to go this direction, but God was like, oh, hang on, girl. We're going to take a left turn.
Yeah.
We're going to go down this road for a little bit. And I just, okay.
You said something that really sparked something in my mind when you said that's the moment, and then now go give back.
Mm-hmm.
We could maybe even say when we go through something really difficult, that is our moment.
Yeah.
And when we learn the lesson, now it's our time to go give back. Kind of the same thing, right?
Absolutely, 100%, because clarity, I always say this when I do my coaching, the most important thing you can ever have in your life is clarity, because clarity is truth.
Right.
And once you have truth, you can't go back. Exactly. Once you have truth, you've now elevated.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you have truth, you have to share that.
Yeah, I love it.
And then you have more clarity and you share that. So it's just this big building block as humans of getting more defined in who we really are and what our purpose is.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes as adults, we get to a place where we're stagnant in our growth and in our learning. And especially as we go through different phases of life, as you age and stuff, things become, you see things differently.
Yeah.
Your kids, when they're younger, you're in a phase of that time of life. And then you're in another phase, when they're in college. And then you're in another phase when they're in adults. And so what are you doing with yourself? You're still evolving. It's just, how are you evolving and what are you doing with it?
Right. No, I love that. That's powerful. And, I agree with you. I know when I have more clarity in my life, I feel even more connected to at the same time. And I loved what you said too, when you felt so much love there, that connection piece is so powerful, right? I often feel like we're never more fully alive than when we're connected.
Well, you think about, so that was like, I don't know how many years, 30 something years ago. And I still talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's how impactful it was,
Yeah.
And I think too, Todd, and this is what cancer taught me, when you really can understand that we actually are not just a body, that we have this amazing spirit that lives in us, we have to continue to grow in that realm.
Yeah. Because
the body's not going to grow anymore. Mm-hmm. The body's going to digress, right?
Yep.
So we really, it's up to us to continue to thrive and to gain clarity in all kinds of subjects.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people get really complacent in religion because they think that's the end all.
Yeah.
That's just like sitting down at the table. But now what do you want to eat? You choose. What do you want to feast on? What you decide when you're hungry, when you're not. But here's all of these things for you. And cancer kind of led me to everything that I was raised with. Mm-hmm. And then it opened my eyes for more.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I always say it was probably the best gift I've ever been given.
Well, let's talk about that since we're talking about,
yeah.
You've beat cancer, if you will, and I can't even imagine what that was like. And talk about how that all happened.
I was like in the best shape of my life. I was actually in Puerto Rico doing a modeling shoot. So I've been modeling since I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the beach and I'm doing this job. And when I came back home, the Miss USA pageant was going on in Tulsa. And they invited a bunch of us old queens back, right? And so I was like, yeah, I'm excited to go. And I get there and I started to bleed. Now, at the time, my youngest son was 19. So I'm like, what? Why am I bleeding?
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, this can't be happening. I didn't know where the tampons were in Walmart anymore. So, and then I thought I had a UTI. So I'm out of town and I'm just, trying to treat that and trying to take care of this. But I had a well check appointment in December. This was November. And I thought, I'll just talk to her about it then. So, come back home, bleeding stops. And I just happened to be, mentioning it to my doctor. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I had a UTI. And by the way, I started bleeding. And so she said, okay, so how old are you? And at the time I was 57. And so she was like, well, we want to do probably a ultrasound just to make sure.
Just to be safe. Yeah.
but I'm sure you've had 5 kids. I'm sure it's just a mess with,
Yeah.
think about it. And I go,
Sure.
okay, thanks. So I go in for this ultrasound, then I go back in the doctor's office, and she comes back in and she goes, we actually see a mass. So we're going to schedule you in about 3 weeks for a biopsy. And I said, help me understand that. So if you know there's something in there, why are you waiting 3 weeks for a biopsy?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same
Can't
thing
we
when you
just do
said
it
that.
right here?
Yeah, do it now.
And it's so quick, at least
Yes.
the biopsy I had. But no, I had to wait. So in your mind, you're
So
kind
now
of
you got to
like,
sit with that for 3 weeks.
okay. But I
Yeah.
kept telling myself, you know what? 5 kids, I'm sure I've damaged my uterus. I'm
Right.
sure there's stuff going on down there, whatever. And I just kept on life. And I go back and I didn't tell my kids, I didn't tell anybody. In for my biopsy, and literally, Todd, it was 28 seconds. Didn't take that long at all,
Yeah.
And she said,
Jeez.
it'll take about a week and a half, and I'll call you. She calls me that day. So I'm just home. Nobody's
Yeah.
home. Everybody's gone, and it was that call. The tone of voice is different. It's very fast. It's very quick. And I knew this doctor as I've been going to her for years, and we always joked around, and it wasn't that way at all. So she begins to tell me the medical name of the cancer that I have, and the grade, and the all these things about it. And at the time I was like, what? So the only thing she said was, you need to find a surgeon fast. And then we hung up. Before I called anybody,
Wow.
I called my insurance broker and I said, okay, I've just been diagnosed with cancer. I just want to make sure, I don't even know what I'm going to need, but just make sure my coverage is good.
Yeah.
So that, I don't, thank you, Jesus, because I don't know where that came from. It's not something you think about all the time.
Yeah, you
Let me
don't
call
think
my
about that
insurance
stuff,
broker.
right?
But before I did anything, I looked in the mirror and I looked in my left eye. Left eye, so you think about that side of the brain. And I said, you are not a woman with cancer. Cancer may be in you, but you are not a woman with cancer. And you're going to get through this. And I remember
So
saying,
you did that right after the call.
right after the call.
That is amazing.
And immediately what came to my mind was, when Christ healed those that were sick, he healed them because he saw them in their wellness. He didn't look at them with pity and see them sick.
Yeah.
He already manifested, visualized them being well. And so that was my whole catalyst right there. You are whole and healthy.
How did that
Despite-
feel? Like you said that powerful statement.
Yeah.
How did it feel? Did it help ease your fear about things?
I
Did it
had
help-
about 64 seconds of sadness. Like just scared,
Yeah, sure.
And then I just looked again myself, and it's just interesting, Todd, because for a moment I had this vision of a little girl in me
Yeah.
that would be scared.
Yeah.
What would my inner child be feeling right now? She'd be terrified.
Yeah.
And there's no way I was going to let her feel that. No way. So I called my family in Texas, and I mean, that's a hard thing to say to your mom and
how
dad,
do you do that?
know.
Yeah, right. There's
And
no
especially
easy
when
way.
you say, hey, can you get both on the phone? Then they're like, this never happens. What's going on?
Yeah, what happened?
So I told, I'm like, look, this is what's happening. I don't have any details right now. I know I've got to find a surgeon and, all this kind of other stuff. But my grade was very aggressive. The cell growth was very aggressive. So it was important to get this done. I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all could have done a biopsy about 3 weeks ago.
I know, right?
So, and then I had to tell my kids. Now, being a single parent for all these years, I am the parent they relate to.
Yeah.
And I have 5 of them in this area, and to get them to all come over
Ugh.
with one big group text, my oldest was like, what is up? This isn't
Yeah.
normal. And my
Something's
youngest son
wrong,
was
yeah.
working at Little Caesar, so he had to come home off of a break. It just was like, Todd,
Yeah.
I couldn't wait till the weekend.
Right.
And so anyway, they all gathered around, and I just said, guys, we've been through a lot as a family. We've been through a whole lot as a family, and now we're going to go through something else, but we're doing it as a family. And so I said, Mom has cancer, and but we're going to get through this. And every one of them, I just remember where they were sitting, and it was almost like
Yeah.
my oldest was on the end of the couch, and she became the cheerleader. Mom, if anybody can do this, you can do this. I've watched you
Wow.
go through a
Yeah.
lot. You can do this, And then my next two, they just sat. And then my boys, I have 3 boys, but my 2 older boys got up, and I've never felt an embrace and a hug like I did from them at that time. And so that was a beautiful moment.
Oh,
That
wow.
was such a beautiful moment. And so what I realized was caretakers through something like this, they all have their place. And it wasn't comfortable for 2 of my kids to go to the hospital. They just were afraid to do that. But what they did was they made sure my medications were picked up, or they made sure grocery store shopping was done. They had a role. Everybody had a role in it. And I just told my kids, I said, you know what? We're not reading statistics. We're not telling people, because the last thing I want is people to tell you how many loved ones have died.
Exactly.
Which is another, like, I didn't go public. I didn't tell anybody. I had just very few friends, and my kids knew. And I did that, Todd, because number one, I didn't want the community to be like, did you hear she's dying? Oh my gosh, did you hear? Like, she has brain cancer. I had uterine cancer. I didn't want that to be my focus.
Wow.
And so,
That's amazing.
Ironically, after I found 3 doctors, and 2 were like in my network, 2 were like way down in Spanish Fork. And I was like, that's not going to work. And the other doctor didn't have great reviews as far as his bedside, but I thought, oh, hey, I don't need him to be my friend. Just get it out. Just take out the surgery stuff, Turns out I adore this man. He's from Tennessee. He's one of the best doctors in our state. And I couldn't get in for like 6 or 8 weeks.
Really?
And then I got a phone call that day. Hey, there's been a cancellation. We have a surgery time available in about a week and a half. So, I was like, okay, all right, this is happening.
Let's go. Yeah.
And so surgery came, and they cleaned out my garage. They cleaned out the garage, and then I had to heal before I could start chemo. So, chemo, the word chemo in itself is something that you just don't know how to prepare for.
Yeah.
At least from a woman's point of view, is I'm going to lose my hair.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my hair. So I thought, I remember for Good Things Utah, I did a story on a wig company in Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. And after I looked on Amazon, I was like, oh my gosh, all these things, they just look so fake. I just don't want to do that, So I walked into Creative Wigs, and they said, oh my gosh, we haven't seen you in so long. What can we do for you? And I looked around, and I said, I need some private help. I said, I'm gonna be needing a wig. And they were awesome.
That's great.
They were awesome. And so I got my wig ordered, because I thought, I don't know how fast hair falls out, because I didn't want anybody to know. I just want to be prepared.
Be ready, yeah.
And for some reason, I named my wig Tina.
Really?
I have no idea. Like, it wasn't after somebody, but I just called my wig Tina. And I was so happy that I had Tina, because chemo hair loss happens literally overnight.
Really, it just starts to.
It's not that you're going to wake up completely bald, but it's chunks.
Chunks are falling out. Yeah.
Yeah. You
I've
go in
heard
the
that,
shower.
yeah.
I remember putting my hand up over the shower spigot, like, okay, let's try to preserve as much as we can. And yet, once that chemical of chemo's in you, it's too late. You can't glue it back in there.
Yeah.
And so I had Tina, and I remember the first time I wore Tina, I was on a flight. I remember thinking, is the flight attendant standing over me? Is she going to tell? It was just something so different. But I never stopped working. I was working on a television show at the time where there was a lot of traveling, and I never stopped working. And I would just go in, and I would gear all up for chemo. And ironically, those became my most favorite days, because I had 8.5 hours of treatment with one of my kids. And we were in a room all to myself, and it was one-on-one.
Wow.
8.5 hours of just talking.
Just chatting and catching up.
And they would come in, and they're like, okay, you're done. And I thought, oh, no, not already. We're still talking, but you're just hooked up and all that kind of stuff. And those literally were some of the best memories with those particular kids that I've had. I remember one time I went in, and my oldest son, he's a big guy. He's just a big athlete guy.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get a vein, and he could just see how painful it was. And I was like, sweetie, you can leave. Like, you don't need to see this. You know,
Yeah.
you don't need to be strong for me. Like, they're going to find one.
Yeah.
I got veins. They're going to find one,
Eventually.
But he stayed and he watched the whole thing, and I could just see tears going down his face. And,
Oh, man.
but it was just such a good time for our family. It really was. It put into perspective what we mean to each other. And it put in perspective for me, you know, this was the first time I talked to myself.
Really?
This was the first. I talk to God all the time, but this is the first time I talked to me.
Mm.
And what I learned from that, Todd, this is what I share in my coaching.
I'm excited to hear this. Yeah.
I talk to every cell of my body.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, I'm rebuilding brand new healthy cells every second. There's got to be more healthy cells than cancerous cells. So why not focus on the healthy cells?
Yeah.
Why not focus on the organs that are not affected by cancer? Why not focus on my senses that I still have? Why not focus on the fact I don't have anything else that my body has to work on other than cancer?
Right.
I don't have heart disease. I don't have diabetes. I don't have anything, you know? And so I started talking to myself, and I would say things like, lungs, thank you so much for working overnight when I didn't have to do one thing. And thank you so much for the clean air that I get to breathe every moment, you know?
Yeah.
I just did a podcast actually this morning. I posted on my YouTube about how to talk to your body, because I remember I would get up in the middle of the night to go get sick, and I would just say, baby girl, we got this. Don't you be afraid. We got this. You know, this is just a moment in time. I got up last night, had my hand on my stomach. I was just kind of running my stomach, and I thought to myself, Todd, this is the same hand and the same stomach that I rubbed when I had my babies in there. And so
Wow.
Talking to your body is very important, because it is your house.
Yeah.
It's the house of your spirit. And
Yeah.
so I think sometimes, especially as women, we get to a place, and you work in fitness, that you kind of can hate your body.
Right.
You can hate parts about your body. You can only focus on the things that you want to change so desperately that you forget it's doing everything it was intended to do. You know, I said, I'm not going to hate my cancer. I'm not going to call it cancer sucks. I'm not going to say kick it in its ass. I'm not going to do that, because it's a part of me.
Mm.
I don't want to hate something that's a part of me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave the door open. You're welcome to leave anytime, but I'm not going to hate on you.
I love that.
Because there's so much more good that's happening. And I thought, I live in a place that has some of the best medical treatment in the world.
Yeah.
How lucky am I? I get to have chemo. I didn't dread chemo. I got to have chemo. So many people, that's not an option.
Yeah.
I get to have radiation. I get to go have a PET scan. I get to do all these tests, you know. And I looked forward to every day, or every appointment that I had. I looked forward to my team, because we were all working in it together, you know. And so I just think sometimes people tend to look at health in a way that they dread. They dread the news.
Right.
Well, you may have a news cast on you, but that doesn't mean it has to be that way. Just like me in my left eye, I am not a woman with cancer. I am not a woman with cancer. I am whole and healthy. And I thought, if I ever got a tattoo, it'd be, I'm whole and healthy.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's
to this
amazing.
day, so I'm 2 years in remission, and I went to my radiation oncologist checkup a couple weeks ago, and he said, you know what, Gretchen? Your body on the inside, from what I'm checking, doesn't even look like you've had radiation. I've never seen something so
amazing.
clean. And I was like, I am whole and healthy.
That is amazing. I had a client who came into my office one day crying. She threw this piece of paper at my feet. I pick it up, and she's bawling her eyes out. And she was, at the time, she was diagnosed with hepatitis C, Hep C. And she had there's two versions of it, and the one she had was the one at the time was incurable. You're going to have it the rest of your life. So she's thinking, well, there goes all my relationships. I'm going to have to tell everyone I have Hep C as we move forward. No one's going to want to be with me. She was devastated, right? We talked about the power of thinking, the power of talking to ourselves, visualizing, all that stuff. And I'm trying to teach her this, and, you know, she's wrestling with it. You know, she's like, man, does this stuff really work?
Right.
Anyway, she kind of ran with it for a while. We worked on some other things. She leaves with the program, leaves me. a year later, I get a text from her. She said, Todd, remember when I got diagnosed with Hep C? She goes, well, ever since you taught me to visualize in the power of my thinking and how I talk to my body, I've just been cleared 100% naturally from Hep C.
Wow.
And I did. It's funny you say that. I text back, wow, but I go,
Right.
not surprising.
Yes.
And then I called her up and I said, can you explain to me, what were you visualizing? And for her, she goes, Todd, I know it's going to sound silly. I'd close my eyes and I would imagine a Pac-Man in my body going,
Eating
the Hep C in every part of my limbs, my fingers, my hair, and I'm like, wow, you are incredible. Anyway, so as you're saying that, I was really touched by what you said, the power of immediately telling yourself that story and how powerful that was and how it led you to have this great attitude and appreciate and have gratitude as you went through this process. It's remarkable.
I think about people. I think about my clients. I think about your clients. Whatever works, whatever registers, whatever clicks that makes the most sense for you to realize you do have the power.
Yeah.
You have the power. One of the things that I really want people to understand is there isn't some magic grease board in heaven that God goes, Todd, this is what I want you to do, and I hope you figure it out. It's more of, I say, this is what I want to do, and the host of heaven goes, great, we're here to help. And so when my decision was, no, this is not going to happen. I'm not going down with this. This is just something this is just something I'm going through now. But I tell you what it is. I went on Pinterest and I thought, if I can think of other things that will put me in a receptive mode of things that I want. Yeah. If I can change the dynamic of my energy from sick to being hopeful, or sick to being in a daydream is a manifestation. Yeah. And so I found all kinds of genres to the point that I wrote a television show that's being looked at by some networks right now, all based on my time during chemo of finding things on Pinterest that got me into a place that felt good. Because anything awesome. That we want, doesn't matter if it's a button or a castle, anything that we want, we have to get into the place of feeling good. Yeah. So it's like if you get into a tube on a river, you're not going to get out of the tube and start paddling upstream. Right. Because everything you want is downstream. Your car's probably downstream. Your friends are downstream, right? Yeah. So that makes no sense to go against resistance. And that's how it is when we manifest, when we want things. So in my case, I couldn't read statistics. Right. That's resistance. I couldn't read about side effects. Yeah. I didn't want to know how many people have died from my type of cancer. Right. I didn't want to know how many aunts and uncles and friends have all died of cancer. That just wasn't a part of it. It was more, okay, what feels good? Oh, I get to daydream about a greenhouse and plants and flowers and, this kind of stuff. The butterfly exhibit at Thanksgiving Point, it doesn't matter. Find yourself into a place for at least 17 seconds and you start that momentum of things good coming to you. And once that momentum gets going, it's like a snowball. Yeah. You just have to find yourself in a place that you feel good. Yeah. You can't focus on your reality. Yeah. So you're probably already telling us this, but what's the biggest lesson you learned through this process and going through cancer? I know you've learned many lessons, obviously, but that's a tough question. I think my biggest lesson that I realized is that I work with God. I am not a person that has to sit and beg and hope and plead that I'm worthy enough to be blessed. I work with God. I think about it this way. If you think about the praying hands emoji, one hand is God and one hand is us. And when we come together in alignment with Him, that's when motion happens. Yeah. This part of God never leaves, but we get distracted and we leave. And this is when we don't have alignment. This is when we don't have confidence. This is when we fall apart, And so I realized I am powerful. And the phrase itself, I am, is speaking from God. When Moses says, what do I call you? I am. I am the great, right? And so when we take on the phrase I am whole and healthy, we are claiming it.
Yeah.
We are proclaiming it. We are commanding it through God. I am.
Wow.
And so, what I do in my life now is I look for the treasures every day. I always say, surprise and delight me. Give me a day where I'm surprised and delighted.
Dang.
And I do this exercise, Todd, and I always tell people you should do this just for the fun of it. Ask the universe, ask God, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Show me and make up something. Okay, so like today I said, show me an eagle and a beach chair. Well, driving over here, I look over at this license plate and there's a picture of an eagle on the license plate. Okay, so what that exercise does is it shows you are in alignment.
Yeah.
It shows you are not alone. It shows you are being heard. And it's a game that's played that if you can create an eagle, you can create a healthy body. If you can create a beach ball that you asked for, you can create money in your bank account or a new job. You can do that because God and the universe, they don't care where you're asking for. It doesn't matter. There's not something that's bigger than the other. It's all the same. But where are you in your belief of, are you worthy to have it? Do you believe you're worthy of getting what you're asking for? Most religions tell us we're not.
Yep.
Most religions teach us we have to. I can't tell you how many people I've been told you deserved cancer because you needed to learn a lesson. And I always think, okay, I'm a mother. I would never say to my kids, you know what? I want you out on the street and I want you to suffer because you need to learn a lesson, but I still love you.
Right. Yeah,
I'm going to withhold food from you because you need to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't fly with me, you know? And so I really have learned that we have a great mind. We have a great spirit in us that's meant to work with God. And when we work with, then we create.
Yeah. Love that.
When we work without, we don't have faith. Right?
Yeah.
And so that, to me, it's like, okay, I now understand my purpose. My purpose is to work with and to teach people how to gain their own power. How to have that power in your own life where you're not, Todd, if you had a glass of water and it was half full, oftentimes you hear people say, oh my gosh, that person completes me. Well, what happens when that person dies? What happens when that person moves on? Then you're left with emptiness still.
Yeah, right.
But when you learn how to fill up your own cup and everything that's coming over, that's the overflow. That's unconditional. That's what you give to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because then when hiccups happen in your life, you're still full.
Yeah, wow.
You still have the knowledge and you still have the testimony that you are capable of doing anything you want with him. Yeah. You don't have to rely on a circumstance. I'm not gonna wait to have $1 million in my bank to feel like I'm prosperous.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wait till I'm cancer free to feel whole and healthy. I'm gonna start right now.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that perspective. Where did this come from? I mean, you're obviously a woman of faith. You believe in God. It means a lot to you because throughout your whole story, you kept referring to that. Where did that start? Well, how did you get there?
I mean, in the South, I grew up in 7 different denominations. So y'all, I know Jesus. Trust me, I know Jesus.
Praise Jesus.
Praise you, Jesus. Amen. But you know what? I got to a place even before cancer that I just was thinking there has to be more.
Yeah.
Like there has to be more. We can't just function in life by just depending upon a grace to just make things happen.
Yeah.
We have to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think about, when your kids were little and they would come to you with a picture they colored, they created that.
Yeah.
And you're so excited and you're so praising of, oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. Well, I always picture that's how God is with us.
Yeah.
We have an idea, we have a desire, and I call it the 1, 2, 3 system. The first step is we have a thought. If somebody's rude to you, you automatically think, I wish that person was nicer. If you don't feel good, you wish you felt better. These are automatic human thoughts. We don't try to think those things.
Right, yeah.
Step 2 is God, universe, whatever you want to call it, goes, I'm on it. Ask and you shall receive. Mm-hmm. Step 3 is it's like in an escrow waiting for you to line up with it. It's already there.
Wow.
So lining up
cool.
with it is
I
actually
love that.
bringing it
Yeah.
to you. So that's why I mentioned 17 seconds gets that
Yeah.
momentum going.
Wow.
If you picture, and I thought about this a lot during cancer, whatever your most beautiful scenery would be, mine would be just this weather kind of like today, maybe in the 80s.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's this
beautiful out
beautiful
there.
meadow, and there's just all these gorgeous flowers, and there's bunnies, and there's birds, and all this stuff. And then I come upon this hill, and there's this gorgeous house, but the door is so mesmerizing. It's gold, and it has stained glass windows, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I go up there and I open the door and I open it and I realize everything in there is everything I've ever wanted and more.
Mm-hmm.
So when you line up with that alignment with God, you're opening that door and it starts coming.
Gotcha.
And
That's
so that is faith in things not seen.
beautiful.
But knowing that it's still there, it's still waiting for you.
Yeah.
It's not some mystical cloud like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in life, but I just know God's going to tell me. No, you will be led, and you
Yeah.
create it, and you think about it, and you line up with it,
Yeah.
and you take a part in it. You take a part in your creative
Right.
sense, and some people got really upset with me saying, even family members said, how dare you take that credit from God saying that you healed yourself? And I said, I never took anything away from him. I just gave myself credit too.
Right.
So there's a difference, right?
Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Beautifully said. That is great awareness for anyone listening to this right now. That is amazing. And I love how you just own it.
Yeah.
You just own everything.
And I think when you have conviction of what is truth,
Yeah.
again, when you have that clarity, you can't go back.
Can't go back. Yeah.
You can't go back, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter to me if, I always think, especially when I'm coaching people, if they don't get it, it's not because they don't get it because I'm not saying something right. They're just not ready for it.
Right.
But someday they will.
Yeah.
Just like the gal that said, a year later,
Yeah.
look, I took a little bit of what you said and I built on it, and now look what happened.
Wow. Yeah. A miracle happens.
Miracles happen every day.
Every
That's
day.
why you ask, surprise and delight me.
Surprise and delight.
Show me
I
how
love
good
that.
my day can be. Right? Show me how powerful
Love
I
that.
am with you. Show
Yeah.
me how good my life can be.
That's amazing. So, you're doing a lot of things now. Obviously cancer was a very challenging for you and your family. You're now past that at least, right? And
Yeah.
moving forward, and you're doing great things. You're coaching, you're speaking, you're hosting still. You've probably got a lot of projects on the horizon. What does it look like moving forward for you, Gretchen?
I would love to have a full-time career speaking. I love sharing my story.
Yeah.
And I love coaching. I absolutely adore that. I was just working with several girls who were competing for Miss USA a couple weeks ago, and I always told them from the beginning, I'm not going to teach you how to win a pageant. I'm going to teach you how to win at your life.
Ooh.
Because not everybody's going to win. There's only one winner. But what you take away from working with me is going to give you tools for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
And that's my premise really with my kids right now is I want to teach you how to be powerful in your life and know how to create what you want and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And not wait for things to turn and to get better in order to feel better. Feel better now.
Yeah.
I literally had so many days during cancer. I thought, do I really, is there really cancer in me? Because I feel so damn good. I don't know,
Right.
But that's how life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's how life is supposed to be. I love TV. It's just been 30-something years career. That's just so fun for me.
Sure.
But I feel when I'm done helping somebody, I'm so energized.
Right.
I really, really am. And I just think, can you imagine if every person on the planet had that feeling that once they help somebody in whatever capacity, they're so energized? We would have nothing but a desire to help everybody.
Right.
Everybody would be. There wouldn't be color. There wouldn't be religion. There wouldn't be anything in the way.
Yep.
It's just helping.
Just helping.
It's like your audience. We're not seeing anybody.
Yeah.
We're not seeing anybody, but we still have those feelings. It feels good to help.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. And my listeners are going to probably laugh because I say this a lot, but it's so profound. I had to learn this from a client. I had my client stand up and just say, what's on your heart today? And this guy gets up and just drops a truth bomb on us. He said this. He said, I tried to find myself I could not see. I tried to find my God eluded me. I tried to find my brother, I found all three. And I was like, dude, I'm still in that from you, because I thought that is where it's at. And just kind of like what you're saying is that feeling of making sure that we're helping someone. And I know for me personally, I find myself, I find my brother, and I'm connected to God in those moments when I'm really going out of my way to make a difference. And that's basically what you were just saying.
And what happens, and I realize this too, the more we reiterate what we believe, the stronger we become.
Yeah.
Because we are putting a proclamation to this truth of what it is.
Yeah.
And what that says to me is I am more in alignment than I was 10 minutes ago, because I've allowed that concrete feeling to be spread.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more satisfying than to know that you've helped somebody get it.
Yeah.
This is not my wisdom. This is not my words.
Right.
I don't have anything special to add that you or that person down the hall. Everybody has the same capacity to do this. And I do think, if we can take our experiences, good or bad, and really share, like, how was God, or how was I in this? What did I learn from this?
Yeah.
You just don't know where people are in their journey.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe something resonates in a way that they go, okay, I get it. I get that. I was working with this gal last week in Poland, and I said, tell me, we were playing that exercise of tell me what you want, 2 things you want from the universe. And she goes, I think I want ice cream. I said, great. She texted me the other day and she goes, you know what? That afternoon, I was downtown, wherever she was, and somebody came up to me and said, I just felt like I wanted to buy you ice cream. And I said, how'd you feel? And she goes, I felt really powerful. It wasn't the ice cream. It was the power.
It was the power.
And then she said, the next day, my grandmother came home and brought me ice cream. So I said, do you see, you had no resistance in what you asked for. You didn't have doubt. You didn't have rules. You just put it out there.
Yeah.
It just was in that house on the hill behind that beautiful door, ice cream.
Yeah.
And then you just went about life being happy, and it came to you. And really, the secret to manifesting is to find things to be happy about.
Right.
Because I think at least I know in 7 denominations of praying to Jesus, oftentimes we beg and we repeat and we repeat and repeat. I mean, how many times have you been in a store and you hear, Mom, 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 Mom? After a while, you're like, shut up, that kid, right? Not that God feels that way, but I think sometimes in prayer, like when we are over asking, begging, that's basically saying, it's not here.
Yeah.
I'm focused on the fact it's not here.
Yeah.
And things don't come when you focus on that. 2 ends of the stick. You've got the solution and the problem. Which one are you focused on?
Yeah. That is powerful. If there's someone listening to you right now, Gretchen, who's in a dark place, they're struggling. A lot of people do tune into this who are in a rough spot.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person right now?
I think the most important thing to start is to know that you're worthy. I don't feel that we're born unworthy. I know where we came from, and so everyone is worthy. And I don't care what they've done in their life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter their past, because the past is there.
Yeah.
It's gone. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet, but right here, right now, you are worthy, which means you're worthy to ask for anything.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful speaker who went to prison for 9 years, and the whole time he said, I sat in my cell and I visualized what it would be like when I get out. And he said, I'm living that right now. And he said, I wasn't worthy at the time, but I let my mind say I am worthy, where he's now living that, And so I think whatever somebody is going through, whatever that might be, whether it's an addiction or depression or whatever it is, you're still worthy. No matter what you've done, you're still worthy to get what you want. That is our right. It is our right.
Yeah.
And we have a universe, a loving God, whatever you want to call it, that is only, it's like a concierge in the sky. What can I get you?
Yeah.
What can I do for you?
Love it.
What would you like?
Yeah.
Because that spiritual image is only focused on the now. It's not thinking about what you did.
Yeah.
It's not thinking about what's going to happen, because we don't know.
We don't know.
I didn't think I was going to get cancer.
Right.
Right? So my here, my now is all that matters. Their here,
Yeah.
their now is all that matters. And right here, right now, the fact that they're listening, the fact that they're thinking about this means they're worthy.
Yep.
If you're breathing, you're worthy.
Yep.
Society says you're not. Religion says you're not.
Yep.
Others say you're not. Why are you thinking that you're not? Who's your
Yeah.
guide?
Right.
Who's your guide?
Beautifully said. I love it, Gretchen. You're amazing.
Can we do
Seriously.
3 hours of this?
This, I mean, seriously, we've almost been going an hour. It felt like 5 minutes. It really did, like flown by. If someone wants to reach out to you and they
Yeah.
want to learn more about your coaching, follow what you do, learn more about your journey through cancer, all that stuff,
All
what would
that
be the
stuff.
best way for them to do that?
So you can go to my YouTube channel. It's Gretchen, and then it's my middle,
Yep.
it's my maiden name. I don't know how to spell it because nobody knows how to pronounce it. It's POLHEMUS Jensen. Okay. On that channel, you're going to have mindset coaching. You're going to have, sorry guys, you'll have makeup tips. You'll have,
Yes.
it's just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But then our our podcast is called Starting Over.
Okay.
And starting over is really a premise, Todd, that at any moment you can start over with your thoughts.
I love that.
You're not a victim to anything, but at any moment you can change your mood, and you can change your outcome just by starting over in your thoughts. So Starting Over is a podcast that's on every platform.
Yeah, right.
And then if you ladies just want just some funny, it's Back Home Beauties. That's on all. I suggest it's on all podcast streams, but
Right.
I would suggest watching it on YouTube because it's we have some good
I love
time.
that.
But if they
yeah.
want to get a hold of me for one-on-one coaching, 801-860-7744. I'm happy
Putting
for
your
that.
number out there. I love it.
Yeah.
I
You know,
love it.
everybody's like, why would you do that? And I say,
Why not?
because, right?
Yeah.
I'm here to help.
I love
And
that.
if there's a psycho, I'll get rid of you, but I'm here to help.
Well, I'll put those links in the show notes when we go live, and so they can click right to your stuff and
Perfect.
YouTube channel, and I'll put the number on there as well. And that's amazing. I love that. That's bold, but I love it.
Yep, I don't care.
But that's you. You had your moment, and now you're giving back.
Mm-hmm.
You've had moments along the way as well, and now you're giving back, and you've been doing that for years now. And it's so fun to watch you do that.
You asked me about, Miss USA, and that went down. And I thought that's going to be the catalyst for my whole career.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not now.
Yeah.
It just is a door that's open, but that's not it.
Exactly.
Because the truth is, that was 100 years ago. Nobody really cares. You know what I'm saying? So there has to be other things that are more relevant.
Right.
And everybody's health and everybody's mental health and everybody's emotional health is what's important.
Yeah. Love it. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being with me today.
I'm so happy you joined the show.
Yeah.
That one day.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time.
Actually,
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad, Todd, when the show was over. I was like, I didn't know who you were. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's a big darn deal.
It's all good.
He is really good. He's really doing good for the world. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, this was fun, and I love all the good you're doing. You really are a great example to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
And it's great to learn more about you as well, because the more I learn, the more I like. And
Aw.
your kids are very lucky to have you in their lives. And shout out to your parents for teaching you some amazing things as a child, and that confidence, where that all came from. And man, what you're doing now is fantastic. So
Thank you.
it's beautiful.
Appreciate it.
'Kay.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, guys, I told you you're in for a treat today. Gretchen Jensen, please reach out to her. Like I said, just click on the show notes. If you have a son, daughter, a family member who's struggling and you don't know how to talk to him, send them a link to this episode. It will break the ice, and you can follow up with them and ask them what they thought of Gretchen's story and the way she lives her life. And I promise you it'll open up a great conversation. So love you guys. Again, thanks to my sponsors. I love you guys so much for believing in me. It means the world to me. Till next time, everyone.